Recording in progress.
Good evening and welcome to the special, Good evening and welcome to the special meeting of the Federal Way City Council for February 10th of 2026. Would you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome everyone. It's great to see this many people here. Thank you very much. So a couple things. This meeting is was called, I'll call the meeting to order. So this meeting was called at the request of a majority of City Council members pursuant to RCW 4230-080, stating that they wish to have a special meeting to consider the rescinding of the vote of the council president. This was noted with 24 hours in advance notice or more so, and obviously we wanted to give the public an opportunity to weigh in on the issue. So obviously there are going to be some very strong feelings about this. I just want to make sure that it's important that everybody gets an opportunity to be heard. Also, please, I know there's some very strong feelings, obviously, but let's make sure that we conduct ourselves with respect and with respect for other people's opinions. Disturbances will not be allowed, and we ask you to, let's behave like the good community that we are. Also, Council, just as a matter of, how many public comments sheets do we have filled out?
I believe we have 42 in person and 8 on Zoom.
Okay, there are 50. 50 multiplied, if the current council rules calls for 3 minutes each, that's roughly almost 3 hours of public comment. In certain situations, there have been times in which we have limited the number either to 1 minute or 2 minutes to make sure that everybody gets heard. And I'll want to hear from our colleagues here whether there's any preference on that issue, or if you want to make sure everybody gets the full 3 minutes. Anybody? Councilmember Walsh, any thoughts on the issue?
Just so that everyone does have the opportunity to voice their opinion and their concerns, I think that 1 minute would be more appropriate, or we're going to be, given that there's a little bit of time between each one, we'd be going late into the night.
Okay.
For it to be the full 3 minutes.
And Mayor, if there are some people who have come together and maybe there's more than one who want to combine their minutes, they could maybe make it into 2 minutes or a little bit longer. If, like, say, 5 people go for one block.
Okay.
Okay.
Council President?
Yeah, I think I'd be okay with the block concept, but I think 1 minute is way too short. I think a lot of people are used to their 3 minutes, and I would ask that maybe there could be a compromise somewhere else. Thank you.
Right.
And Mayor, I'm sorry. I don't know if you noted that Councilmember Asafa Dawson might be with us, or maybe I wanted to check
Is
on that.
Councilmember Asafa Dawson here via Zoom?
She is. She's on.
Yes, I'm here.
Zoom.
Okay, great. All right, thank you very much. Councilmember Hamilton?
I would be in support of limiting public comment to 1 minute because I do think it's important for everybody to be heard, and otherwise we might not hear from everybody.
Is there a motion to that effect?
I move to limit public comment to 1 minute.
Second?
It's been a motion, a second. Is there any discussion on the issue of time duration for speakers before the body? All those in
Yes,
favor?
Mayor.
I'm sorry. Councilmember Sefadossin?
Yeah, I think people probably came prepared to speak for 3 minutes, so maybe 2 would be a happy medium or compromise. I
Okay,
just feel like 1 is too short.
all right. Council President Moore?
Yeah, I think, I mean, clearly we can tell that people are used to 3 minutes. We've done this for years, although I understand that occasions this is possible. But I would, again, ask my colleagues to vote this thing down and talk about maybe 2 minutes, and maybe a group could be 2.5 minutes as something, as a compromise. But 1 minute is just, it's not reasonable.
Okay. Councilmember Sessoms, did you have? Okay, all right. Okay.
How about 90 seconds?
A minute and a half?
King County Council does that when they're going from 3 minutes to,
Councilmember, that meets with
Thank
your
you.
approval? Councilmember Walsh, would
Well,
you?
I have a comment with that.
Well, Councilmember Walsh, would
Oh,
you
thank
consider that a friendly amendment?
I would consider that a friendly amendment.
And the second on that?
Mayor, it was Councilmember Hamilton's motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Hamilton, would you consider that a friendly amendment?
I will consider that a friendly amendment.
With the understanding that if people want to speak in a block, so that they aren't saying the same thing over and over, so that it might be more than 90 seconds for a block of 5, say?
Okay.
Okay.
Council President Moore?
Yeah, I think this is what I wanted to hear. I wanted to hear a compromise. Thank you, Councilmember Honda, I appreciate that. And I think with what Councilmember Coachmar is saying, I think, I don't know, I mean, what, 2 minutes and,
The compromise on the floor right now, that's.
for the group, I'm talking about.
Is a minute and a half.
Right, and I'm talking about I'm commenting on her thing, which is a group. What do we want to do for
Sorry.
that?
That would make sense to be 3 minutes in a block, okay? If they're going to say that, if they're going to be saying the same thing, and if they can make the quick decision together, you know.
Sorry,
Thank
one
you.
more comment.
All right, and what constitutes anything over 2 or 3?
3 for the block
Three.
and 90 seconds for the individual,
And a
Have-
block
have-
of 5.
I'm sorry?
And a block of 5.
for,
A block of 5 people
for 3 minutes.
for 3 minutes,
Yeah.
otherwise,
Yeah.
1.5 minutes.
Yeah, we've had many meetings where if people are here 3 hours, they have to take care of their children.
Okay. Councilmember Honda, did you have your,
oh, I'm sorry.
all right, Council President Moore?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm in agreement with what's being said, except, I don't know if I like the terms, people have the same thing and shouldn't repeat themselves. I think people have come here prepared to say what they want to say, and even if it's the same thing, it's still really valuable and really important. Thank you.
Okay. Heather, have you captured all this?
The motion that I have on the floor is to limit public comment to 90 seconds per person or 3 minutes per group of 5.
Okay. All right, there's been a motion, a second, a discussion. All those in favor of this rule change?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The matter passes unanimously. So it's, individuals have a minute and a half. If you go up there with a group of 5, you've got a total of 3 minutes. Okay, and also about the, once again, we understand that the emotions are high. There's a lot of stuff going on. And if you could, please be mindful of our rules, which is, let's be civil to one another. Also, please refer to the council as a whole, not individual, naming individual council members. That's in the rule. We asked people, I think several years ago, the council, they don't want you to state your address, but if you could, as a courtesy, let us know what community you live in. If it's Federal Way, that's great. If it's Tacoma, that's, we just ask that. And also, there's no slanderous, impertinent, any kind of thing like that. I don't want to have to interrupt anybody, but we will if we have to. And also, so green means go. This is the most important thing we'll do all day, is to hear from you. Green means you're ready to go. Yellow means you've got about 30 seconds. Red means please stop. And so, and if you feel yourself kind of, either in the audience or when you're at the podium getting worked up, just think about how you want to feel when your statement is over. Remember, we're all just people, we're all neighbors, and let's keep it civil. With that, the first thing on our agenda, as you can see from the agenda, did we have enough agendas? Does everyone have one? Okay, so this had to be, I want to make sure that you're aware of something. There were two ways to go about this, and I want to make sure it's really crystal clear. Number one, which would be to when something is walked on to a city council agenda. And at the beginning of a council meeting, the individuals up on this dais, the four that sent the email, could have waited till next Tuesday or a council meeting and made a motion at the beginning of the meeting to add in an item for that agenda, for this moment. And then if they received a second and 4 votes, then that would be discussed immediately at that council meeting. The council has taken a different route, which is what has brought you here today, which is to give plenty of public notice so you, the public for whom we work for, have an opportunity to be here and to voice your concern. I just want to make you aware of that. And I think we all come from a place of, we don't like to surprise, nobody likes to be surprised, nobody likes to be ambushed. This is a fully noticed legal meeting in which to decide something. So I want that to be understood. I think that's important that we understand that. So, all right, with that, the agenda calls for first public comment, and we've set that out, then council business, and it was noted, and again, it had to be noted with a specific enough to give the public, and our neighbors, notice about what was being proposed. And it is at item A for proposed business this evening is A, potential action to rescind the vote naming city council president. And it's noted, since Councilmember Kochmar is the individual who sent the email along with 3 other council members to the council calling for this meeting. Then if that is successful, then item B would be the potential action to elect a city council president. And also, normally at special city council meetings like study sessions, there is no public comment. But because potential action follows as a result of these actions, that's why public comment is absolutely required by law. And so I want to make sure that's clear as well. Okay, so, with that, we've got quite the pile here of public comments. We've got pink sheets. All right. If it's okay with everybody, I'll do the Zoom last, if that's okay, and then the folks that are here in person first. Community, what I want to do is I'll call off a number of names where you could sort of queue up back there. Just be mindful of each other. And then once we get to a certain point, I'll call off another series of names. Let's do maybe 4 or 5 at a time, okay? But once again, just be mindful of each other and be mindful of the door. Now, some people are going to say things that make you really mad one way or the other. That's America, right? That's the essence of free speech.
Excuse me, Mayor, do you want to, people tend to clap, which is nice, but sometimes it's maybe better if we don't.
I think I'll leave it to thank you, Councilmember. I think I'll leave it to the group, and we'll see where we go. Okay. All right, community, council, let's get started. Okay, I'll name the first few, and then we'll go from there. So, Susan Andrews Salmond, then Alexander Milston, Nathan Orth, Jason Schroeder, and Tyler Ousley. Well, it's the first batch. Let's start with Susan Andrews Salmond.
Good evening. My name is Susan Andrews Salmon. I live in Federal Way. And I'm pretty deeply disturbed that some members of the Federal Way City Council are attempting to sanction Council Chair Moore, his First Amendment right to free speech. Apparently, and maybe I don't have time to repeat this, apparently he had a post which backed some students who were planning a walkout at Federal Way High School. And from what I understand from the article in Center Square, Council Chair Moore noted that he supported students' rights to peacefully protest and exercise their First Amendment freedoms. He noted that young people are clearly feeling fear and uncertainty, and he said he's proud of young people for speaking up. The student flyer announced a peaceful student walkout against ICE. Mayor Farrell, council members, we should all be supporting our students as they protest the law-breaking, brutal agency that makes a practice of ganging up and going to public schools expressly for the purpose of arresting parents and students. That is a practice of theirs. What disturbs me even more is the attempt to punish Council Chair Moore. That's it?
That is it. 1.5 minutes. Thank you, Susan.
Well,
Thank you. Excuse me. Do not, right, please. One at a time, 90 seconds at a time, unless there's 5 of you. Alexander Milston.
I have a procedural clarifying question. 2 people are up here, do they get 3 minutes?
No,
Okay.
5 people.
All right, firstly, I'd like to say everyone who voted to cut the time is a coward. And on top of that, Martin was objectively correct.
Alexander, you're out of order.
And I would like, and also, though, the Republicans putting this forward, who are going to get Martin Moore out of this, they're doing it for one reason, one simple reason alone. They're pro-ICE, and I guess 2 reasons. They're against our students. We demand that the city council vote no on this. We demand that the city council votes to roll back the flock cameras, and we vote that every single city department bans sharing any information whatsoever with ICE with serious penalties, including firing department heads if they violate that rule. Mayor Jim Farrell, why the hell did you say things essentially in defense of ICE? That is ridiculous and insanely out of the order of this council. And Linda Koshmar, why are you bringing this forward? You're defending ICE by doing this. You are pro-ICE, and for bringing this forward, you're pro-ICE.
Point of order, Mayor, we're not
are
to,
a great
we're not
part
to call out.
of our city.
Point of
They're a great
order.
part of our
Okay.
history.
Just let him finish.
And to be against the student protest is to be on the wrong side of history. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Nathan Orth, then Jason Schroeder.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nathan Orth. I'm from Federal Way. I am standing here tonight to voice my support for Martin Moore regarding a recent social media post and a manufactured outrage. I would remind you, hey, shut up, timer, short time, stop. I would remind you standing here at the free speech podium talking into the free speech microphone that each of us is afforded the right to freely speak our mind. Disagreeing with someone's message does not entitle you to attack their right to free speech. I will not give any air of authenticity to the thought that a personal Facebook page becomes a city resource just because someone adds their title to it. That is partisan hogwash summoned up as an excuse to attack his message. As Martin's opponent during the election last year, I sat next to Martin at every town hall. I know for a fact that Martin's status as an immigrant and his support for immigrant communities were central to his candidacy. That means that they were already heavily considered by the voters in November. To work to undermine his position on immigration through any guise is to work to undermine the electorate, and democracy itself. Martin's post on a personal Facebook page was in support of a student-led and organized action. As a leader in the city, being supportive of civic engagement from the youth in our city deserves to be commended. These young adults are set to spread their wings and build the future they want to see. Some of them can already vote. The rest of them will be voters by 2027 or 2029. So look forward to that.
Jason Schrader.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I too am, I'm a volunteer here in Federal Way. I'm ashamed at the remarks made last week dismissing the students and I think treating children that way is very shameful. I highly recommend we don't do that type of thing. They were trying to exercise the First Amendment right, up here commenting. Kudos to them, but ashamed by this council. We've had nuclear drills many years ago. We've had fire drills still going on. We prepare for things that aren't necessarily an immediate, like, hey, it's happening right this second. It will happen. ICE will come, and they have done many things wrong, entering homes without judicial warrants, stopping cars in the middle of the freeways and roadways, and totally disrupting life, murdering people as well. So please, I support President Moore to stay President Moore. Thank you.
Tyler Ousley.
Hello, I am a Federal resident, and I'm concerned about how you are trying to remove Martin Moore from president over a simple post about his support of students expressing their freedom of speech by walking out. You should vote to keep Martin Moore as the president. We need to start talking about, the potential danger ICE has that can present itself to Federal Way. Finally, the students of Federal Way have every right to be concerned about the armed forces that could take away their friends. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, new group of five. And please cue toward the back. Patty Ballister, Lana Bostic, Colin Cayley, Madeline Grayson, and Lynn Ormsby. Patty Ballister first, please. And it's Patty with two Ds, D-D-I-E.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Hi, I am here to support the city council president for standing with students who are angry and afraid and who are asking their leaders to take that concern seriously. I'd ask for you to please be respectful. Your behavior tonight will show how you want our children to feel at the end of this night. When students say they're scared, I believe them. Telling them that their fear is not justified doesn't protect them. It teaches them that their lived experience doesn't matter. To use the language of younger generations, that's just gaslighting to tell people that they don't believe what they see with their eyes. I also want to talk about the fear on kind of the leadership side of the issue. From my perspective, it looks like there are two kinds of fear at play. One is just kind of the fear of things that you don't recognize, the fear of things that are unlike you, issues that you're familiar with, people you're not familiar with. The other is discomfort with backlash for standing up for what you know to be right. Neither of those fears outweigh your responsibility to lead. How you respond under pressure shows who you're willing to protect. If there's anything leaders here should be concerned about, it's not a Facebook post. It's the growing number of regular people like me who are paying attention, who can't stay in our comfortable little bubbles while fear is used to excuse inaction or cruelty, and who are now willing to show up when their leadership fails them. I really hope that this council will stand behind the president and choose the kind of leadership that makes people feel protected instead of dismissed.
All right, thank you. Lana Bostic. And then Colin Kelly. This is 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is Lana Bostic, and I have lived in Federal Way
Sorry,
since...
can you give me just a moment to start it?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, you've got 3 minutes.
Hi, my name...
Are you ready? Sorry.
I'm so anxious. Hi, my name is Lana Bostic, and I have lived in Federal Way since 1981. I am here tonight because I don't want Councilman Martin Moore to not be the council president due to his position on the student walkout to protest ICE. I don't feel this council is focusing on the big picture. of those students who have taken notice of what ICE is doing on our local and national level and chose to organize and plan a peaceful protest in coordination with many schools in our state. Mayor Farrell says he hasn't known of any ICE activity in Federal Way, and this is not true. I'm a member of a rapid response group, and ICE's presence has been in local neighborhoods and places like Home Depot, and there is much activity in Kent, and ICE doesn't have to notify anyone when they're here. We are now living in a very volatile time. These high school students are old enough to have rehearsed active shooter drills since kindergarten and will always know the names Renee Good and Alex Preddy and can watch their murders by ICE on their phones. I stand with them and their courage to confront this with a peaceful protest. I'm very disappointed with Mayor Farrell's statement that he is unaware of any instances of ICE initiating violence on anyone who is not integrating in or interjecting in their activities, and added, I do not want to comment on the national ICE thing. The city of Federal Way does not need to weigh in on this issue. The cities of Seattle, Tacoma, Renton, Kent, Bellevue, Bothell, Burien, and Olympia have all discussed policies to protect their communities, and the King County Executive has expressed strong opposition to increased ICE action. In conclusion, I support Councilmember Moore's support of the students and believe he will continue to discuss ICE, flock cameras, and to protect our community instead of staying silent and dismissive as others have. Thank you.
Colin Cayley.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. So for those I heard in the crowd who don't believe I live in Federal Way, you can find me on 33rd Avenue Southwest in Twin Lakes. I've lived there for 10 or 11 years and lived in Federal Way my whole life. For those of us on the left, we believe in freedom of speech because while we may not have all the money or power of the courts or police, we have two things on our side, truth and justice. Our truth is that ICE is criminal, and we demand justice for all people who are forced to interact with ICE. We support Martin Moore because you're the best to deal with the concerns of the community, like flock cameras, which need to be banned, and like ending any collaboration with ICE, including public staging on public property and other protections that the Seattle City Council has passed. Thank you, President Moore.
Madeline Grayson, and then Lynn Ormsby.
Madeline Grayson, Federal Way. I'm speaking for my husband, Jim Grayson, and myself to express our unequivocal support for Martin Moore as council president. In November 2025, Martin Moore was elected with a decisive mandate, earning 72% of the vote. We are two of those voters. City Council President Moore's commitment to standing up for immigrants and people of color was not hidden, ambiguous, or incidental. It was central to his campaign and well known to the electorate. Voters chose him because of that stance, not in spite of it. Standing up for vulnerable communities takes real courage, especially in the current national climate. In our own neighborhood, we see the consequences of fear-driven policy firsthand. A neighbor's caregiver is legally in the United States, yet as an immigrant and person of color, she is afraid to walk to and from the bus stop to work because of ICE activity. We have seen suspicious unmarked vehicles in our neighborhood. Last year, ICE agents knocked on doors asking questions about other neighbors, again targeting immigrants of color. These are not abstract concerns, they are lived realities. To use Martin Moore's clearly stated views on immigration as grounds to strip him of his position would be a profound mistake. We urge you to reflect carefully on what side of the issue you stand on. Martin Moore is acting in alignment with the values he ran on and a mandate he was given. He deserves to continue serving in the role as council president.
My name is Lynn Ormsby, and I've lived in Federal Way since 1974. Our citizens have valid reasons to live with fear. They know what illegal practices have been committed across our country. Twice over the years, I've gone through Know Your Rights training in Washington State. Now ICE is illegally capturing people without a warrant signed by a judge, as we were taught to expect. I have been able, years ago, to tour the GEO Tacoma Detention Center. That was a life-changing experience. I found the conditions deplorable. Right now, ICE is under tremendous pressure to increase its quotas. Fear hijacks normal reasoning and emotion. That causes a lack of trust to be protected by the due process promised in our U.S. Constitution. So now as a city, we need to reset both sides to use empathy and compassion to reconcile and move forward together to reach a consensus and a plan that is clearly committed to our citizens. Our citizens voted to elect all of you to be able to problem solve together. This should not be a precedent for solving issues that arise in the future. Thank you.
Okay, the next five. Diane Webb, Abigail Miller, Madeline Taney, Cynthia Garush, and Amanda Latin. Diane Webb first.
I'm Diane Webb, 10-year resident of Federal Way, and I'm speaking in support of City Council President Martin Moore. I've listened to the statements of Council Members Session, Dawson, and Moore about ICE and immigrants, and I share their concerns. I don't agree with Mayor Farrell's statements that there's nothing to worry about, that we can all be safe if we don't interfere with federal ICE operations. Nobody wants to see what happened in Minneapolis in the streets of Federal Way. But that's not our choice. As we've seen in Los Angeles, Chicago, Portland, Charlotte, Minnesota, ICE and CBP federal operations are often not targeted, not lawful, and not constitutional. So our choice as neighbors and American citizens is, how do we respond? So tonight, I'm supporting City Council President Martin Moore. Thank you.
Abigail Miller, and then Madeline Taney.
I am not Abigail Miller. I am her mother. She is a student at Federal Way High School and wrote a statement. She signed up to come and speak it herself, but got called into work. I am asking the council to award me the full 3 minutes because I also have a group here of 3 more, plus my daughter Abigail and myself would make 5. Would you be willing to please honor that request?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Hello, my name is Gail Miller. I am one of the some 400 students that exercised our First Amendment right at Federal Way High School to protest ICE's brutal domestic harassment campaign and expedited removal procedures. I am proud of my peers and my school for taking a stand because they know what is right and they care about their Latino neighbors as they watch this administration tear families apart, brutalize innocent civilians, and use their power in sinister and unconstitutional ways. Adults like Moore remind us that even though it's frightening and unsafe for my peers and their families, every day is our civic duty. Adults like Moore make us feel heard. This vote to strip him of his title for simply stating his support for students to exercise our American constitutional right is not only cowardly and embarrassing, it's completely tone deaf to what the people of this city believe in. The Latino community in our city should be allowed to live without feeling anxiety and impending doom every time they leave the house, and by silencing Moore, you are perpetuating the standard of living. You tell the people of this community who don't look like me that they deserve to live in fear. It is insulting, and you should be ashamed that you cannot listen to your own community, as is the point of your whole job as city council members. I hope for the sake of the people who work, raise families, contribute to local culture, and bring life to this city, you keep people like Councilmember Moore in your representative board. Thank you.
Madeline Taney.
Point of order.
Yeah.
When somebody is representing 5, can the people that they're representing with stand at the podium with them, please?
Yeah, I'll ask that. Okay, Madeline Taney.
Hi there, I'm a resident of Federal Way. I've lived here for over 20 years. My cul-de-sacs, there are 5 languages spoken in my cul-de-sac. I am surrounded by immigrants, and I love my neighborhood. It is a safe neighborhood. And I just want to support Mr. Moore and his right to free speech. This is democracy, and I am proud of this process. Dismissing the students and not, to say that kids can't have the opportunity to engage in civic action. It is a powerful experience. My mother allowed me to go to my first protest in senior year for the Vietnam War, and it affected me for the rest of my life. I have been a lifelong activist as a result. And it is empowering. It gives them perspective and connection to the community. And I'm probably going to run out of room. But anyway, that's it. And that's okay.
Cynthia Garush.
Hi, good evening. My name is Cynthia Gorsuch. I am a couple-year resident of Federal Way, Rentonian, so sorry about that, born and raised. I live in Federal Way. Renee Good was killed by ICE on January 7th. That was 34 days ago. Alex Preddy was killed by ICE on January 24th. That was 17 days ago. The first comment I heard from anyone was no names. I'm not supposed to say names, voicing his support of students exercising their First Amendment right to walk out, peacefully assemble, and voice their disagreement with their government. These are students who are scared for their classmates and neighbors, and in opposition to a 23-year-old agency of masked agents who are now allowed to kidnap and kill people. The right to peaceful assembly is protected by the First Amendment, right? And was deemed important enough to be included by the founders in those first documents. Federal Way Public Schools has 22,000 students, amongst whom 123 languages are spoken. This means not all these kids are white and European descended. Another person said, I don't think they have anything to fear. Have you not seen the videos of kids being tear gassed on their way to school outside Minneapolis, of the abduction of 5-year-old Liam Conejo Ramos? I would hope that would be enough to show why these kids are scared for themselves, for their families, and for their classmates. Sometimes laws aren't just and they're not good. Please don't oust no names. Thank you.
Amanda Letton.
Amanda Latin. I hate public speaking, but I'm willing to do it to speak out about this monstrosity. So, I am a Federal Way resident. While I do not know every detail of this Facebook post or its deletion, I feel it's important to share a concern about how this moment and how City Council and the Mayor are responding by how it shares the experience by our community. This is a moment worth reflecting on. For many residents, particularly those who don't belong to the white dominant culture, feeling safe is not something they take for granted. Safety is shaped by tone, language, and whether people believe their voices are welcomed. When public messaging feels discouraged rather than protective, it can unintentionally deepen fear and mistrust. Encouraging students to be safe while engaging civically should not be viewed as harmful. Civic engagement is something we say we value, but do you really? When encouragement becomes controversial, it risks sending a message that certain voices are less welcome here. My concern is not about politics in this moment. My concern is about impact. The way leaders speak in moments like this matters. It shapes whether our city feels welcoming, it doesn't, inclusive, it doesn't, or safe for all who call it home. I don't choose Federal Way as a home. I was forced here by price and location. And the City Council's response to President Moore make it more and more clear why I don't enjoy Federal Way. I love the residents, I love the diversity, but it's clear that condescension from Mayor Farrell that I've experienced and did not experience from City Council President when I reached out to him with the same concern must just mean that you all feel inadequate compared to him. Do better.
Okay, the next five. Jerry Schumacher, Amy Johnson, Doug Stensby, Anna Patrick, Jeffrey Tancredi. Jerry?
My name is Jerry Schumacher, registered as Gerald. I'm here to speak in support of Mr. Moore. I'm concerned about how the moral values of our city, state, country are being trod upon. I applaud the actions of this teacher and the council president. I applaud the Federal Way students, the Washington State students, and the students nationally that have protested the actions of ICE. Exercising their constitutional protected First Amendment rights is a right that cannot be learned in the classroom. It has to be learned in the street. I object to any cooperation by the city with ICE. I disagree with the city and council members who don't appreciate the oversight actions of Mr. Moore. I strongly ask you not to vote for his removal as council president. Thank you.
Amy Johnson.
Good evening. I'm the Reverend Amy Johnson, and I live in Federal Way and have for the past 40 years. I'm here to support Councilman Moore, and I am here to witness to the belief that city leadership should be taking students' fears seriously and providing guidance. I'm among 650 clergy who answered a nationwide call to join interfaith leaders in Minnesota a few weeks ago to witness the violent and inhumane treatment of people happening on the ground there by ICE and CBP. Let me share with you a firsthand account from a 48-hour visit. 100 clergy were arrested at the airport while singing and praying. Some in our group witnessed an attempted ICE abduction of a legal resident, a pregnant woman with small children in her car at the time. Others of us experienced a lockdown at a church where we were gathered to learn and pray together. There was violent activity nearby. A person, a legal citizen, using their legal right to observe from their car, had their car window smashed and was injured by ICE. The students who walked out last week are not overreacting. City leadership stating that schools have nothing to fear from ICE is not true. I urge you to use your power to listen to our young people and the people who have spoken tonight about local incidents, the right to free speech and peaceful protest. Keep your attention focused on what matters most, keeping our neighbors and our children safe, not silencing those who support them. Thank you.
Doug Stensby.
I'm Doug Stensby. I've been in Federal Way for 21 years. I've also attended council meetings for 2 years, and in those 2 years, one thing that impressed me over and over again was how you as the council would work together for the good of the city. I was always impressed. I was thankful to be here to watch this take place. Your task as a council is not to worry about the things that may or may not happen and certainly are beyond the scope of the boundaries of Federal Way. You need to find a way to work together. I would encourage a change in the leadership in the council.
Anna Patrick.
Evening, Mayor and Council.
I've pieced together my 3-minute and my 1 minute to make it 90 seconds. Okay. Thank you I'm Anna Patrick. I've lived in Federal Way for, 30 years or something. So thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here as a community member concerned about student safety, learning, and public trust. I want to acknowledge the real fear many immigrant families are experiencing. Compassion belongs in this conversation. But what's often missing is the perspective of victims when systems lack workable options to address serious, repeated harm. When cases are diverted or quietly resolved, patterns go unrecognized and victims lose their voice. That's the voice we need to hear in this room too. Public messaging from elected officials matters. When students are encouraged to leave school, gather in public spaces with limited supervision, safety risks increase. We saw this last week when a large student protest occurred near a police-involved incident, requiring law enforcement to both secure and crime scene and manage the protest to keep students safe. Leadership requires impartiality. The council is nonpartisan, yet hyper-partisan rhetoric and outside political roles can silence other voices. This creates conflict of interest, especially when the council president also serves on the board of Multi-Service Center and has already had to recuse himself. We need a council president who can fully engage without the appearance of conflict.
Time.
We need leaders, not rhetoric that divides. Excuse me. Can I finish?
You guys, hey.
Since I've been shouted down for part of this, can I finish one sentence?
Listen, council, I keep calling you council. You guys. You have interrupted her a couple times. You could finish one sentence. But
Thank
hey,
you.
once again, let me say this. Listen, do not yell at me from back there. Let me just listen carefully, okay? Let's have a civil meeting, and please, when somebody really disagrees with you, just let them talk, okay? That's the center of America. Don't yell at me from the back of the room. And anybody who poses a disruption to the room will be removed, okay? I don't want to have to say that, but apparently I have to. So,
Last
finish your
sentence, thank you. We need leaders that can lower the temperature and lose the rhetoric that divides the community by labeling people and putting them in boxes to silence them. So we do not need somebody like Martin Moore in that position. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, come on. We're all neighbors, just, okay. I've got just a first name, Nikki, and then another first name, Grace, and then Diana Vaughn, Megan Nader, Kristen Burton.
Jeffrey hasn't gone yet.
I'm sorry? Oh, sorry. Jeffrey Chancredi, sorry, Jeffrey. But the other five, please gather. Jeffrey Chancredi.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, Council President. I've been a resident for 29 years. The Council President is supposed to lead meetings and participate fully in council business. When someone holds multiple leadership roles in organizations that receive city funding or are involved in active political campaigns, repeated recusals become unavoidable. The council president should serve as a neutral facilitator for the entire city, regardless of political affiliation. When the president of the council serves as the party chair and focuses council attention on highly partisan issues, it creates the appearance that the office is being used to advance a political agenda rather than city governance. Using an official city council president's social media account to promote a ballot measure without a vote of the council is prohibited for a reason. Even if the post was later removed, it raises serious concerns about judgment and respect for the separation between public office and political advocacy. It is especially troubling to see an official city account used to encourage minor students to walk out of class and engage in political protest, including requests for minor children to privately message an elected official. It is against state law for students to leave school grounds without parental permission.
All right. Nikki?
Good evening, Council. My name's Nikki Walters. I live in the city of Tacoma. I work in Federal Way. I spend my money in Federal Way. The first thing I want to do is acknowledge that we are currently standing on the ancestral lands of the Puyallup tribe and the Duwamish people. And I want to read something Siri told me earlier when I asked Siri a question. The First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution protects the right to protest because it guarantees freedom essential to a democratic society. Freedom of speech, assembly, religion, the press, and the right to petition the government. The right to protest falls under the freedoms of speech and assembly, allowing people to express their views publicly and gather to advocate for change without fear of government repression. This ensures that citizens can voice dissent, influence public policy, and hold leaders accountable. Council, tonight, I beg to question, is this a democracy or is this a dictatorship? Thank you.
We don't need the boos, you guys. So just, if you want to, come on. It's not the WWE. Come on. Grace.
Hello, good evening, Mayor, City Council, and Chief Andy. See you over there. I want to thank you and the police officer for keeping someone from being carjacked recently. So thank you for your service to the community. It's very much appreciated. But the reason why I'm here tonight is because one of the council members took it upon himself to put propaganda on his Facebook page where he's a councilman and stated councilman, and to fearmonger of children. We're talking about children, impressionable children, that he's fearmongering. And I could tell you it's fearmongering because I see half of the room don't seem to understand. This is not about immigrants. This is about people coming into the country here illegally. This is not about people coming in here legally. So to put a spin on it and make it like it's illegal aliens, that is spreading propaganda. And I don't think a person should have that title of council president if they're going to be spreading propaganda and lies to impressionable children and usurping the parents' authority. You're usurping the parents' authority to tell their children what you think they should think. Thank you very much for listening.
Diana Vaughn.
Hello, Diana Vaughn, longtime Federal Way resident. Something I want to clarify. Our concerns about leadership of Federal Way Council are not about ICE. That is not the issue. City Council is supposed to be nonpartisan. When we start making it about ICE, we're arguing something that really isn't relative to what's most important in Federal Way. The council is not meant to be a partisan group. It's supposed to represent all citizens, and not all the citizens feel the same way in Federal Way. It doesn't make sense that any member of the council who serves as a representative for the whole city also serves as a representative for a local political party. That means it cannot be nonpartisan or objective. That's not right. It's necessary that all the citizens of Federal Way be equally represented, not biased. It's especially worrisome that the position was used to encourage students to do an illegal protest on school hours instead of learning where they should have been. Thank you.
You guys, listen, please. If you disagree with somebody, just listen to them. It's not necessary. The only people being interrupted is one side. please do not interrupt them, okay? It's not appropriate. So let's just take it down a notch. Everybody take a breath. We're all neighbors. We're going to have a civil meeting, okay? And please don't yell from the back of the room. I don't want to have to single somebody out. Megan Nader. I heard that.
Okay.
Megan?
Hi, my name is Megan Nodden, and I'm a Federal Way resident. I'm assuming, I will say this is my first city council meeting, but I'm assuming all of these students is not something that we typically see here at a city council meeting. And I think that alone should tell us this is something important. These young people showed up because they care. They showed up because they are learning what civic engagement looks like. This is not something that we should dismiss. This is something we should encourage. I was incredibly impressed with Councilman Moore's clear support of students' constitutional right to protest. Protecting that right, especially when it's uncomfortable or inconvenient, is what true leadership looks like. This was an extraordinary real-life civics lesson that I could not be more proud of for these students and their voice respectfully and thoughtfully and courageously. Leadership is not just about presiding over meetings, although I have had an opportunity to get to see him do this at the retreat, and it was amazing. It was great. But it's also about defending constitutional rights, modeling respect, civil participation, and demonstrating to the next generation that their voice matters. Councilman Moore demonstrated this exactly what kind of leadership this is. So for that reason, I am strongly supporting keeping Councilman Moore as the council president, and I thank you for your time today.
You guys, actually, we had a retreat a couple of years ago in which the council decided not to allow clapping and all that. And I want you to be able to do that, but bring the volume down a bit. Kristen Burton.
Hi there. Yes, my name is Kristen Burton. I've been a resident of Federal Way for 25 years, born and raised in Seattle, and am the child of the ex-president of the Urban League in Seattle and the Women's Commission. I'm here to stand with Congressman Moore. I'm not a public speaker, and I avoid politics at all costs because I had a parent in politics. I'm a happy wallflower. Y'all have made me come out here today to stand up for somebody else's rights. What I would like to say is that these children, these teenagers, had the best civics lesson that they could have ever had. My daughter, who went to Federal Way public schools, Federal Way High School, as a matter of fact, never got a civics class, never had the opportunity to. I hope that those of you students that did walk out learned something impressive and you go and you grow from it. I just want to say the council here does not match the age demographic for the city, which is actually age 37. So how do we change that? All right, thank you for your time.
All right. All right. Okay, the next five. Peggy Darling, Pamela Askey, Graham Evans, Nancy Justice, and John Wilmore. Peggy Darling.
Hi, I'm Peggy Darling, and I have sent an email to all of you already stating how I felt, and I thank those of you that responded to me. I appreciate that. So you really know where I stand. I'm here to support President Moore. He wants nothing better than to make our community better. I am very proud of him for standing up for the students, having worked in a public school for 25 years. It's hard going through shooter drills. It's a very scary thing, so I can understand their fear. None of us are safe. I'm a white old woman, but I'm as afraid. I could be pulled out of my car for who knows what reason. It's not for just doing something illegal. You can be doing anything anymore. And I've been told that's not true, but it is. So I support Mr. Moore for standing up for his right to speak. I admire the students. I applaud them for their right to walk out, just like when the nurses walked out and the pilots walked out and the traffic controllers walk out. Sometimes that's what you had to do. I did it in high school too, but that was only so we could wear jeans, because back then you weren't allowed. So thank you for the time.
Thanks, Pamela. Pamela Ask. and then Graham Evans.
You guys are cutting into my time. My name is Pamela Ash. I've been a resident of Federal Way for 35 years. I'm the proud teacher of most of these young people you see in the room today. Three of my students, maybe even more, will be speaking later as they've all filled out public speaking forms. And one of them is going to talk about how demoralized and disrespected they felt last week when Chief Wang blatantly lied to them in response to their question about ICE activity in Federal Way. Everything is public record. It takes a simple Google search to know what's actually happening in this city. Another thing that's public record is that the city of Federal Way is in the top five most racially, ethnically, and linguistically diverse cities in the state. Between 60 and 65% of the residents of Federal Way identify as non-white. The mayor and the council need to recognize that the majority of your constituents do not represent your views on this issue. And many of them, represented by these young people, present tonight, are either eligible or will soon be eligible to vote. Chief Wang is either not very good at his job or was blatantly dishonest with his response to the students last week. But even more alarming was Mayor Farrell's callous comment to the students following the chief's statement. The mayor stated that, quote, "We will not impede or interfere with federal agents in the performance of their job." Mayor Farrell has chosen, as evidenced by his statement, to remain neutral on the issue, but in this situation, neutrality is not a political stance, it is a moral stance. There is no place for neutrality in the face of injustice.
Ms. Ash, your time has expired.
One more sentence. And that is why we are here tonight, because Council President Moore chose not to be neutral. He chose to support the students, and they respect and admire him for that.
Graham Evans.
Mayor Farrell, City Council members, fellow residents of the city. Good evening. I'm Graham Evans, a 26-year resident of the city and a naturalized US citizen. I'm deeply disturbed by the situation we're in tonight with the City Council. It does not help the city, it doesn't help us. How did we reach this point? Is it good for us in Federal Way to be amplifying the national discord? I don't think so. Or do we need to try even harder to work for a shared approach that is good for all of us, rather than for a specific vocal minority? I don't know what this dispute is really about, but I have three possibilities in mind. One is about immigration and what the city does about immigration enforcement. Some facts. 99% of us here tonight would not be here without immigration. Well, let's move on to that. Federal Way has one of the most diverse communities in the USA. Third, the food production chain in the USA draws 20% of its workforce from illegal immigrants, keeping labor and food costs low and filling jobs most Americans won't do. Given that, should we think seriously about who the elected leadership of the city is working for? Possibility two, is it about stopping our youth finding their voice? A flashpoint seems to be that a city council member dared to encourage scholars to voice their free speech right and to speak up. Is it bad for youth to engage in civics, to enhance their understanding of how to raise their voices and to gain practical experience of participating in democracy? Hell no.
All right, thank you.
Third possibility, a struggle within the city council and
There
a
is
power
a,
bid.
okay, thank you. Thank you. Nancy Justice, and then John Wilmore.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having this meeting tonight. First, I'd like to thank Mayor and Chief Wang for their response last week to this situation. I'm going to make an analogy to make my point. It's a wardrobe malfunction. I see it as a person, the person we're talking about, wearing three different hats: the hat of a council president, the hat of a teacher, and the hat of the head of a partisan group. To me, it kind of looks like the trifecta on indoctrination when combined. Excuse me, There are three positions converging, not compatible with a nonpartisan public position. This is not about freedom of speech. I support freedom of speech and the right to protest, not on school time, not for our schools to be used for indoctrination and brought to our council. This is wrong. It is unacceptable, and I find the person in question very poorly dressed. Drop some clothes.
John Wilmore.
Nice jacket. You look good. My name is John Wilmore. I'm a resident of Federal Way. When I learned that this special meeting was called, I was trying to get myself some background, so I went and did some searches. I found some video reporting by one of the reporters here in the room that helped me understand some of what happened at the last meeting that was useful. I found the Federal Way Mirror's article about the student walkouts, which was really good. I learned that the students conducted themselves admirably in their demonstration of their rights. I learned that the Federal Way Police Department did their usual excellent job of public safety. I've been out on street corners, and I always like seeing them out there. They do a great job. But the only article I could find about the subject of this meeting was mentioned earlier, and I noticed that it was deceptively edited. It tried to put words into Martin's mouth that weren't there, that weren't part of what he was saying. And if that's the sort of source material that this whole tempest is coming out of, that's a little disappointing. The city does have real challenges. There are things that we need to be doing that we count on all of you to do. Do we have better things to do than this? And I just want to close with Benito's words, together we are America.
Okay, I've got, Ayanna, the next group, we've got, I'll explain in just a second. Ayanna Freeman will be the first one, and then we've got, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's several that have, we've got 3 comments that have the same people listed, so we'll call those folks up and determine who, you can determine among yourselves, but it's Natalia Alvarado, Alan Montes Irizaga, Julissa Carius, and again, we'll figure out when they get up here. And then we've got Chelsea Irillo, or Corolla, Chelsea Corolla, maybe, Donna Arnold, and then Carmen Kaler. So, Ayanna Freeman first.
Good evening, council members and public. My name is Ayanna Freeman, and I am a newly appointed member of the City of Federal Way Diversity Commission. It was exactly 1 week ago that I was here and I had an interview, essentially asking me what my role was going to be when it came to having this role, and how we as adults can create a future that our young adults would like to be a part of. I want to thank the students of BSU and the Latinx Club for being here. You are very brave, so I thank you. Getting on to the issue at hand, I would like to say that I would like to stand in support of Martin Moore. Having heard the past arguments and opinions that have gone on during this time, hearing some comments about how students are impressionable, that they are not as wise, hearing comments that students should not do these sort of activities during school time. And to that I ask, well, when would you like them to do this? If this is something that is an issue that is at hand, why would you wait? Why would you wait until something else happens when you clearly don't want it to happen here? Like a young person like myself, it is my honor to want to represent students who have their own voice and have their own opinions, and not having them be dismissed for being unwise. Because what we learn in schools, such as history, English, and social studies, is what is happening in our communities, schools, and city at this time. Thank you.
Okay, now we've got Natalia Alvarado, Alan Montes Arriaga, and then Julissa Carius, and there's Alex and Danny. Who's your speaker?
I'm the speaker. Well, we're going to be switching.
Okay, you've got a total of 3 minutes. And would you identify yourself, please?
My name is Natalia Alvarado.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get started. 3 minutes, please.
Good evening, City Council. We are coming here today to speak on behalf of the community and of Council Member Martin Moore. He is being wrongfully accused of supporting the student-led walkout, which was in practice of our First Amendment rights. He never encouraged us to do so, like all of those things that you guys were accusing him of supporting us through this. I'll leave this to
Council President Moore never encouraged us to do so, and the statements made were and the movement done were strictly student and community-led. We students want you to acknowledge that we are here at 8:09 at a school night. Us students should be worried about our grades and not our safety.
He came here and informed us of our rights. We should know and answer the questions about safety during this movement. Other speakers stated they were concerned about safety when Mr. Moore came in specifically to make sure that we were safe and answered our questions on how to do that. If you want to talk about safety, we can talk about all the people who have died at the hands of ICE. He was simply doing his job as a president of the Council of Federal Way, one of the most diverse cities in King County. He acknowledged our pain and our feelings in a time where many people in power do not. Mr. Moore is a person for the people. Without him, our community and the people of Federal Way would not be heard.
To remove a president of the city council, it would just be unfair and unjust. Thank you for your time, and I really hope you take this message into heavy consideration as we speak for the communities that make up this city.
Chelsea Irola. Excuse me. Chelsea Irola.
Hi, my name is Chelsea Arola. I am a graduate of the Federal Way Public School System. I'm a resident and current homeowner in this city, and I'm here today in support of student rights and those who encourage our students in practicing their civic duty. Martin didn't lead any student movement. Student leaders asked him to share a flyer that they created, and he agreed. That's it. The response to this has been disproportionate and a huge overreaction. Characterizing his support as wrongdoing and even threatening to remove him from a position on the council goes far beyond the actions he took and disrespects the voters of this city. I urge you to not let outrage drive a decision that is far more extreme than the issue at hand.
Donna Arnold. Donna Arnold. Oh, do you want to just do it from there? Okay. Yeah, please. Oh, is it not on? Hold on, Donna.
My name is Donna Arnold. I've lived here for over 30 years in Federal Way, and I currently sit on the Human Services and the Diversity Committees. Thank you for letting me speak tonight. In our current environment, many of us live in a constant fear and may not feel like they can do anything about it. What I saw was a concerned teacher that wanted to educate students about the options they have, letting them know that they have choices, giving them hope, letting them know they are not alone. I know a little about the pain and fear that surrounds many of us in our country right now. We recently lost a daughter and her family who have no longer felt safe in the country they love. They had to move to another country thousands of miles away to feel safe. I commend Martin Moore for teaching and educating our children and standing beside them. Yes, there may have been a few missteps along the way, but everyone needs a hero, and for those kids, Martin Moore is just that. So thank you for caring and being that hero.
Carmen Kaler, then Ron Kaler.
Good evening, Mayor and councils, and Chief Police Officer for keeping us safe. I wanted to make sure that I told you I appreciated each one of you and what you've done for the city. I am an immigrant from Chile, and I have lived here in Federal Way for 33 years. I have worked in our city for 33 years helping the Latino, Hispanic community. I know hundreds of Hispanic and Latino families. I know the environment right now with what's going on in the city could be frightening at times for many of my friends as well. But just so you know, I don't know anyone personally that has been arrested by ICE, and I agree with our leadership to stay away from federal enforcement and respect the law. I also wanted to say that the council president is an institutional role and not a partisan platform, and the council president should serve as a neutral facilitator for the entire city, regardless of political affiliation. When the president simultaneously serves as a party chair and focuses council attention on highly partisan issues, it creates an appearance that the office is being used to advance a political agenda rather than city governance. Thank you.
Ron Kaler.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council members, Council President. The night of the nomination for the council presidency, I was very displeased by the rhetoric coming from a particular nominee that was being directed towards one of the other nominees. That kind of behavior is uncalled for, and I call unethical. Where's the integrity? Where's the honesty? Where's the working together as a council member? I've asked them, that particular council member to speak with me, has not yet even contacted me. What I've seen in the media is reprehensible. What my wife just spoke about as being a particular partisan chairman and a nonpartisan position that you're in right now is not appropriate. I don't think there's any place for that. It causes bias. The multiple community organizations you're involved in that the city decides on funding, I think that needs to be concerned about as a recuse. And as far as my family's concerned, I've got 4 adopted children. They're Mexicanos, okay? I know all about immigration. I know about it, okay? I taught my kids to follow the law and be respectful of the law, whether it's ICE, whether it's federal, whether it's local. You respect the law.
Okay, next group. Quentin Morris, Dara M., Jacqueline Copley, Barbara Cuney, Kevin Morris, and Mike Bullich Ziegler. Quentin Morris.
Good evening. I'm Quentin Morris. I've been a resident of Federal Way for almost 60 years. I graduated from TJ in '72. As a student, I was a witness to the turbulent 60s. There were political and social divisions at that time driven by race, war, and economy. What I never saw was an overt agenda to divide. The peer pressure was strong to do drugs, free love, and challenge authority. What I never saw was the overt subversion driven by the teachers' unions, the national media, and state government complicit with the progressive agenda driven to an almost religious fervor. So why do I speak to you this evening? The intention is not to cast blame on these systems, although a government K-12 system is just another hijacked institution administered by rule followers. But the rules have been changed. The rules are not healthy. Boys can be girls. They can participate in girls' sports and others' bathrooms. The school calendar is divided up by cultural recognition months for division, but no time for Western culture or civics. Interesting that outside protest is taught, but not how to engage civilly. I did not come here to plead victim, but just to point out a few things that are going on. The reason I'm here tonight is I was a witness, and what I witnessed here is the same. The engaging and informed voices that sit on this board are being shut down and excluded from participation. The latest agenda is clearly set up by malign forces that fuel the harms through a deliberately open border inflicted on our local community.
All right.
Please do not let this happen here in Federal Way. We deserve better.
Okay. Please do not, please, everybody, please do not interrupt the speakers, because I'll have to just grant them more time, okay? Be respectful of the different viewpoints. You've got a viewpoint, other people have viewpoints. It's our life experience, all right? Dara?
Just for the record, I haven't said a word when anybody is talking, so I hope to have the same respect. I'm here tonight because this issue goes beyond politics or personal disagreements. It goes to trust, judgment, and the responsibility that comes with leadership. The council president position holds a position of authority over council proceedings, the tone and credibility of this entire body. When that same individual is also a substitute teacher in our school district, an even higher standard applies. Inviting minor students, children, to participate
Do not interrupt.
To participate in political protests is a serious breach of professional boundary. These are 13 and 14-year-old students. They are not peers. They are young people entrusted to educators for care, safety, and guidance, not political influence. Equally troubling is the reported after-hours contact with those same students. Educators are strictly prohibited from unsupervised or non-instructional contact with minors outside of approved school settings. Those rules exist to protect children. When an adult in a position of authority seeks out and maintains private after-hour contact with students, it's not only inappropriate, it's alarming. Many would reasonably describe it as creepy, and in some cases, it's illegal under district policy. This is not about free speech. Adults are free to protest, organize, and advocate, but the children should never be drawn into the activism. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline Copley. I've got Jacqueline Copley next.
Point of privilege, Mayor.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to hear the speakers, and I would just ask the audience to please let us hear all the speakers. It's part of the democratic process. Thank you.
Thank you. Jacqueline?
Good evening, Council and Mayor. Jacqueline Copley. I've been in the Federal Way area since 1989, graduated from Decatur, and I just wanted to say that when I heard about this whole thing, my first thought was we have security and we have administrators in the schools. I have taught at every single school in this district minus one, and we have security there because the children have a hard time keeping their hands off each other, being respectful. And so as a parent of multiple teenagers, if I knew that my children were taken out and they were allowed to just leave, there's liability issues, there's safety issues. They can't even seem to be safe at most of our junior high and high schools when they're inside the confines of the school. And so the first thing I thought about was the children out, fights breaking out. Those fights happen during lunch, all sorts of things. It's completely irresponsible to advocate something like that without any extra security, it was a terrible idea. I think it was irresponsible, and I don't think that you should be the president of the council, so.
Barbara Kuhn.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. I am here to discuss the City Council's role regarding student-led walkouts for protests during school hours. Federal Way District schools are allowing children currently to just walk out of class. They are giving them unexcused absences, but they are allowing them to leave. I doubt that they would be letting them leave for any other reason other than a protest. And there is nothing in the First Amendment that allows children to walk out of school and protest. They are allowed to have opinions. They are allowed to speak their opinions. That's a very good thing. They should be in school learning about these issues, discussing them from both sides, and they're not getting that. encouraging them to go out in the streets by themselves to protest. I've seen them running across the streets, not paying any attention to cars. They're going to get hurt. And anybody who encourages that to happen, I do not think should be in the position of responsibility of City Council President. Thank you.
Kevin Morris.
Mr. Mayor, Council, I stood here last week and got dressed down for asking a question which broke the council rules because I was not speaking to you as a whole, but all day long we've been talking about one particular man. I'm going to ask the question again. Are you chairman of the 30th District Democrats?
Kevin, we're not going to.
Did I break the rule again? Okay.
No, just go ahead and speak. You've got time.
So, frankly, I believe that the council should be worried and concerned about working for the city of Federal Way and not be political and not be concerned, not necessarily about the issues that they bust in who knows how many people to this meeting today. But I'm perplexed, wondering why it becomes so political when we have a council president that is in fact political and should be removed. Thank you.
All right. Mike, excuse me. Mike Bullich Ziegler.
Good evening. My name is Mike Bullich Ziegler, and I've been a resident of Federal Way since 2020. I'm here to speak against this blatant power grab to attempt to punish Council President Moore. I and many of the community have heard the deafening silence and indifference shown by city leadership to lawless immigration enforcement happening throughout our country. Not one word was mentioned by our leadership over the last year in support of our immigrant neighbors. As the council held its retreat last month and couldn't even muster up a proclamation saying all are welcome in Federal Way, Alex Preddy was being murdered by ICE exercising his constitutional rights and trying to help some up who had fallen. In other words, attempting to comply, as our mayor has advised. Students who came to this council share that they are afraid for their safety in school as a result of ICE enforcement. Instead of leadership or even acknowledgement, their fear was dismissed, and that they were told if they comply, they will be fine. Council President Moore is actually responding to our community, and I strongly support his actions. Clearly, our city leadership has not met this moment, and now it is deciding to take its first action as a result of ICE enforcement, and it's to punish its loudest voice. A voice that is representing so many in the community that our city is leaving behind. A vote to punish Council President Moore sends a message that that kind of speech should be punished. We will all one day reflect on how we rose to this moment in history, and if this vote moves forward, your first act as a city is to show this community that our fear doesn't matter, our students don't matter, and our immigrants don't matter, and we will not forget it.
Noni Amin Kinsey Phillips, Amanda Latin, Jessica Miller, Joseph Santana, and Christina Mitchell.
Hello, my name is Noni Amin Kinsey Phillips. I'm 15 years old, and I would just like to say it is, 8:27 p.m. on a school night, yet we are here talking about this. Immigration enforcement activity by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Federal Way is increasing as early as 2026, which I find personally crazy and absolutely idiotic, because how is someone illegal on stolen land? Let's talk about it. ICE operates in the area focusing on arrests and investigations with reports of potential racial profiling. Despite the Keep Washington Working Act passed by the legislature in 2019, federal agents continue to operate independently without a judicial warrant. Agents are accessing DOL data, which has led to a 40% increase in detentions and arrests. Reports from early 2026 indicate active presence of ICE at local businesses, including Fred Meyer, Valley Harvest, and Kaiser Permanente Medical Center. They have been seen posted at major intersections and in neighborhoods. Fox 13 recently reported that Arturo Gordiano, whose wife and children are U.S. citizens, was arrested in an ICE sweep in Federal Way last September and was deported because of a prior DUI, not because he is a dangerous criminal. Students in Federal Way and their families are being impacted by these incidents, and they want and deserve to have their voices heard. Last week, at the invitation of Council President Martin Moore, Black and brown students, 2 of whom are not U.S. citizens, attended the City Council meeting. I was one of those students. It was coincidentally the night that the council presented the proclamation naming February officially Black History Month in Federal Way. In the public comment
I'm
segment.
sorry. One more sentence, please.
The chief looked at our students in our eyes and stated that there have been no ICE encounters in Federal Way, quote, to my knowledge, which was a blatant lie. We expect and deserve better.
That's the second time, that is the second time. It is against our rules to call staff members liars. That's the second time tonight, once by the teacher and now here, in which your chief of police with over 30 years of experience protecting the community has been called a liar. That is absolutely outrageous. The next time somebody says that, I'm going to cut them off and stop their comments. It's not appropriate. The chief, do not yell at me or you'll be removed. And I'm not kidding. Okay, Amanda Letton. Amanda? Okay, I saw that. Okay, I saw that, Amanda. Thank you. Jessica Miller. All right, thank you very much. Joseph Santana. And then while Joseph is making his way up here, Christina Mitchell, Tirza Idahosa, Adrian Davio, Bill Darling, Ann Etter, Cynthia McAtan. Okay. Joseph Santana.
All right, when should I start?
Right now, sir. Go ahead.
Okay.
You're okay.
Can I get my time redone?
Yeah, you bet.
Okay.
Can we restart the timer, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Joseph. Federal Way is my home. From Sherwood Forest Elementary to Illahee to Taubman High School, I still live here. I've worked in our schools. My parents are naturalized immigrants. I've worked with a large immigrant community for my whole life here in Federal Way, through leadership positions and such. And I just urge Federal Way to keep Martin Moore as council president. I urge the entire council and all its leaders to understand and support our students' concerns and work together towards their concerns. I think it's undemocratic that we remove Martin Moore after his very recent overwhelming support. This initiative, kind of on a Tuesday night, is kind of misleading to me and kind of inadequate, honestly, after his overwhelming support, I think. And also, after listening to so many people, I really think that students being free to assemble is not a partisan issue. America's greatness begins with the freedom to assemble and our democratic institutions. Freedom to assemble, freedom to communicate for our adults or children or our youth, especially our students. They're working hard in school, but also working hard to make our community greater. America's greatness begins with all their hard work, but it's chipped away when City of Federal Way leaders are not supporting these student leaders in every way we can. We need leaders to support our youth, and protests like these by our youth have given rights to women, youth, black people, and allowed us to move forward, not backwards. I want Federal Way to move forward so many people can live in a better future.
Thanks, Joseph. Thank you. Christina Mitchell.
Good evening, councilman members. I am Christina Mitchell. I am a homeowner, a resident, an advocate, a sister, a niece, and a mother of Federal Way. I'm here tonight because leadership matters. When young people in our community speak up about issues that directly affects their lives, they deserve to see adults who model courage, not punishment, for having their own opinions. Whether you agree with Martin and his personal views or not, supporting students and immigrant families is not misconduct. It is protected speech. Removing him from a leadership position weeks after his appointment sends a message, and that message is speaking that has consequences. Our youth are watching, as you see. Not only are they watching, they are learning on how we handle these certain situations. Are we modeling dialogue and democracy, or are we modeling retaliation? This moment is bigger than one person. It's about integrity, fairness, and the example we set for the next generation. May I be someone of the Hispanic culture, I want to share this. Without community, without being unified, it doesn't matter what color you are, the unity is what gives us power.
Okay.
The unity is what makes change move. We can move mountains if we continue to keep doing this work, coming together.
Christina, that's it. Thank you.
They were a minute over. Let me get one more sentence because I was not done.
Okay.
Continue doing the work. Do not fear. Thank you.
Tirza Idahosa. Is Tirza here? There we go.
Hello, City Council. It's been a while since I've been here, but when I heard what was happening, y'all know I was going to have to show up. I don't want to say everything that everybody else has said because people have already spoke, but what I do want to say before I sit down, first and foremost, I am in total support of Martin Moore being in the position that he's in. It takes people like Martin Moore to know that when you stand up to do something for other people, because other people are sitting in the background, but somebody has to step forward, it takes courage. It takes a whole lot. And then people, like some of the members on the city council, will throw rocks and hide their hand. Councilman Linda, Susan, yeah, I'm gonna name names. They throw their hands. I didn't say nothing when the other people's talking. I didn't agree with what you said, but I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna reclaim my time. I'm stating facts. And again, I'm saying, when you stand at those positions that you know, the only thing they can do is shut you down. As I was on the Diversity Commission, and when we began to say what was happening in the city, because our ears were there and the city council's wasn't, our job was to tell you guys what was going on. When we told you what was going on, you did your job by shutting us down. My time was not up on the Diversity Commission, neither was Allison Fines. You guys took it upon yourselves because we were speaking for the people to kick us off the council. Unlike what you're trying to do right now for Martin Moore.
All right.
So all I'm saying is, in honor of John Lewis, this is Black History Month, and we would not be where we are right now had not been for people walking out, standing up, saying what's right, in the midst of everything, cause good trouble.
When the timer turns red, please stop, okay? Adrian David, Bill Darling, Ann Ayler, and Cynthia McAtan. So, Adrian David.
It's Adrian Davio.
Davio, sorry, you're right, sorry.
I've been a longtime resident of Federal Way. This is a very serious liability issue for the city of Federal Way and Federal Way School District. I believe your liability insurance does not cover actions that violate safety policies or neglect for duty of care for students. Teachers, public officials, and school staff have a legal duty of care to supervise students during school hours. Teachers, public officials, giving unauthorized off-campus permission for students to walk out is a significant liability risk, likely falling outside insurance coverage. Teachers and public officials should not encourage this misconduct. For the record, I would like you to enter your insurance carriers for the City of Federal Way School District, and the Washington Teachers Unions, so I can follow up with those policies. Also, Federal Way currently is ranked 242 out of 295 districts in Washington and ranks 13,075 out of 300 districts in the nation. Clearly, Federal Way should be focusing on basic education rather than ideological or political agendas and wasting educational hours. Adult ideologies and political agendas have no place in the children's classrooms, especially encouraging them to walk out of class without parental permission.
All right.
Given the abysmal, shameful
Actually,
educational
I'm sorry.
performance of Federal Way
Adrian?
students,
Adrian?
clearly teachers need to stop the political, ideological propaganda and get back to education
Adrian.
basics. For this reason,
Adrian,
the
time.
current president should be removed immediately.
Adrian, time.
You're exposing taxpayers and students to harm, and it
Bill
needs
Darling.
to stop. I am asking all the grown-ups in the room to please quit experimenting on our children and indoctrinating
Time.
them. Thank you
Time.
very much.
Okay, hold on. Okay, everybody, let's take a breath. Let's take a breath. We're all neighbors, okay? We're all going to walk out of here still being part of this community. Let's just take a deep breath, okay? Let's be respectful of each other. And please don't interrupt people, okay? I mean, that's the essence of the First Amendment. You guys, you know, probably the best, let me just take just a second, okay? I think probably one of the best movies I ever saw was The American President 30 years ago. And the president at the time basically said, freedom of speech is watching somebody say something at the top of their lungs that you would spend your life opposing. It means watching a flag or something that you love being burned in front of you. It means being able to listen to something else. Let's remember that. This is America. We have different viewpoints. Please stop interrupting people when they're talking. Let's bring the volume down, okay? All right, Bill, darling, sir.
Thank you. I've lived in Federal Way since 2011, and tonight has made me really proud of one thing, and that's that we can say our voice and not get dragged out of the room.
Yeah.
And that's been very apparent tonight. There's two different sides here. I'm very much for keeping Mr. Moore in that position of presidency. And one thing I would like to see, which I would have hoped we would start at the meeting, is because this is a special meeting called by 4 people basically. I think they should stand up here for 90 seconds and tell us why. Because I have not heard that yet. And I don't know who they are. One of the other things I'm proud of tonight is the young people who have shown up here. And the young people who showed up last week. I wasn't here last week, but I watched it on cable. And I felt very sorry for them because they were scared, but they put themselves right in the bullseye, walked into this room, said what they had to say, and some of the people tonight are here again. And I'm so proud of that. They stand up for themselves, and that's what we should really be teaching them. It doesn't matter whether you can count to 5, stand up for yourself first of all. Thank you.
Well said, Bill. Hold on just for a sec. Well said, Bill. And I want you guys go first. So the very first thing on the agenda was to hear from you. You'll hear from the other members you'll hear from members of the council, and we'll do that. But thanks, Bill. Okay, Ann Ayler.
Yeah.
Here.
Eder. That's all right.
Eder.
Good evening. Thank you, council, very much. I just want to first say thank you for your service and your time. It takes a lot of guts to do what you do, so thank you, and thank you also to our Federal Way Police Force.
Ann, can I interrupt you? We're going to
Yes.
restart your time.
Sure.
Chief, I think the front door, that door is intermittently locked and kind of locks. Can we make sure that it stays open? I know we probably were trying to make sure that there's not carryover voices that come in, but let's just make sure the door stays open. Thank you, sir. All right, sorry, take 2.
That's all right. That's all right. I'm following somebody who had many of the same points that I wanted to mention, so I'll make it brief. I've grown up in Federal Way. I consider myself an independent. I vote on both sides of the aisle. And I wanted to come tonight and kind of hear what this issue was about, because removing somebody from their elected position seems to be a serious matter. I think some great things were raised on both sides, and I appreciated hearing that. And now I'm glad to hear that we will hear from the council as to why we're all here tonight. But barring any mentions of misconduct, serious or otherwise, I just am full favor of keeping Mr. Moore in his position. I also want to just applaud the youth for being involved and engaged in politics. I think they are our future, and so I appreciate that. I think some safety issues were raised that I, hadn't thought about, so keeping our students safe in Federal Way is also important to me, so that they can protest and do their thing, but be safe, I think would be important. So regardless of the outcome, again, thank you for this forum and for a chance to hear what's going on. This is my second attendance at a Federal Way City Council in about 30 years, so you brought me out.
Thank you, Ann. And before our next speaker, I do want to let you know that we will have a forum about ICE in our community that I will sponsor along with the council, and we're going to invite the entire community to come out and discuss this issue. So while we'll do it as we'll take, I don't have the exact date right now. We'll look at a calendar. I'm not going to give a date now that's going to have a conflict, but I'm telling you that my commitment to you is that we will set a date soon to have a community discussion about this. But, all right, with that, Cynthia McIntyre.
My name is Cynthia, and I've been a resident in Federal Way and have worked here and have raised my child here. I wear several hats in this community. What I want to do tonight is talk to you, Martin. This is supposed to be the city of Way, centered on opportunity. When I think about the civil rights movement and how during the 60s when I grew up, I walked out of class to protest the things that were happening in my community, but I still managed to get an education, even though I experienced tear gas, even though I experienced beatings by those who were supposed to be protecting me because of ideologies about people looking like me and having hair like me, right? That fear. Now we've come again where other people are being feared for similar things. I did nothing wrong. I have never had a criminal history, ever in my entire life. I've made it to Princeton. I'm a homeowner. I'm a productive person. Guess what? Centered on opportunity. Had I not been able to exercise my freedom of speech, my constitutional right to stand up against power and injustices, I wouldn't be here now, and a lot of black folks that look like me wouldn't. Thank you, Martin, for teaching our young people the civic rules of engagement. God bless you.
All right, the last five in person: Emmanuel Mwangi, John Hendrickson, Tristan, Jennifer Beaton, and Gabriel Jones. So, Emmanuel? Is Emmanuel Mwangi here? Okay. Followed by John Hendrickson. Oh, no, we've got Emmanuel coming up first.
Before I start, I sent out an email to each council member, by the way, so thank you. So today I'd like to thank everyone for giving me the opportunity to come here. I'm here to talk about Council President Moore. Before he was elected council president, I knew him as a substitute teacher, and I remember the enthusiasm and the drive that he had for our community. During during his election and his campaign, I saw that he was truly driven and devoted into helping our community, and with this, he even landed the position of council president. Today, I've seen that he's willingly helped our community, fought for rights, and been a voice for those who don't have one. With this, I want to clarify that with our walkout, this was completely student-led. It had nothing to do with the president. And also, he was just a voice for us. And I feel like if someone is willing to speak for someone and be punished for that, that's completely unjust, and that just shouldn't go by. And also, my last remark is that if he is willing, if you guys remove the only person that truly cared about our voices, we have no one left. Thank you.
John Hendrickson.
Good evening, all. Not only everybody in the council, but everybody in the audience. Number one, I would like to say, as a student and as a member of our Black Student Union, as somebody who actually cares about not only everybody in our community, but also everybody who are affected by the results of this atrocity, of this dehumanization. We are actively witnessing something in the making that is not something that should be happening at all, something that can't even be conceived by the human mind. The first thing that I will say is, as a student who was at the walkout, as a student who was advocating for everybody in our community, who was advocating for change, advocating for a voice that can help us, our one Mr. Martin Moore, he actually gave us the civic right. He didn't say anything about organizing this walkout. He had nothing to do with this. But he did give us the guidelines to actually do our due diligence, to actually do the things we were put here on this earth to do, to actually do what the Constitution says we should do at a time of revolution. And that is speak, that is talk, that is use the voices of everybody in the audience and in Federal Way, in Seattle, in Burien, in Tacoma, everywhere. We should be screaming out, free everybody. How can we call somebody illegal on stolen land? Especially when we are the ones stealing their rights and stealing their people. Thank you.
John Hendrickson.
I hope you'll forgive my lack of eloquence. This is the first time I've ever done something like this, and I might be a bit rough, so sorry for that. I graduated from Federal Way High School in 1976, 50 years ago, like the Hawks, 50 years ago. I'm saddened tonight by disrespect for some key things. Many are here tonight to support freedom of speech of students. I wholeheartedly support free speech. But ironically, the individuals supporting the students' protests and freedom of speech are not supporting individuals here tonight that have differing beliefs. We need to respect people and laws more. We should teach students to respect those laws when protesting. Martin Moore, as City Council President, should not, in his position, have encouraged students to disrespect the law by his example. The students and many others are being cheated out of seeing that in the laws can be, that respecting the laws can be a blessing. I lived in Los Angeles with immigrants.
John.
Immigrants who immigrated legally. They learned the history of America and they have pride.
Okay. All right. Actually, John, that's the final word, but thank you.
All right.
We got it. Thanks. Okay. Tristan. Tristan? Is that? Oh, you already did? Okay. So, what's your name, sir?
Gabriel.
Did you fill out a pink sheet?
Yes, I was last person.
Gabriel Jones, you're here, let's do it. Okay,
All right.
Sir, go, please.
Hey everyone, my name is Gabriel. I'm a Renton resident who's been an educator in Federal Way and across Western Washington. A few comments for one, double standard is obvious. You can't call a council member a liar, but you can say a council member is not training students. You can call a council member a creep. Liar, step too far. It's almost like the rules change for what you agree with. Secondly, politics, surprisingly political. People are allowed to have their own views, so he can't be political. He can't hold off. No one. And if you believe, I'm going to be honest here. If you believe that any council member is completely partisan, you're lying to yourself. This accusing educators of indoctrination has happened for years. We're accused of indoctrination simply for being gay. We're accused of indoctrination for presenting the way we like, or for teaching evolution. Education is about seeing and hearing alternate viewpoints, not just parroting whatever your parents say, which some here may wish. Basically, if students hear or see viewpoints their parents don't like, it's indoctrination. As a high school educator, I've seen this generation be the most politically active and thoughtful generation ever, especially more than my own. So firstly, I am proud of you all and will gladly support your freedom of speech and ability to fight back against a fascist regime. To the fellow educator up here fighting for these students' right, I support you, and I wish you the strength to keep going and keep fighting. And to the council that would punish them for this, absolute shame. This is a partisan political grab who would be more quick to quash people speaking out about hate speech than the actual hate speech itself. Thank you. And finally, abolish ICE!
Jennifer Beaton?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you for having us here today. I came out tonight to learn about the issues, so I'm appreciative that we get to hear the point of view of the 4 council members who wrote the email. I think that I am not going to disillude myself. I can't persuade anyone in 90 seconds, about ICE or immigration and how it should be. I can't, and I don't have all the answers. However, I think it's infantilizing the students to say that someone else planned their protest. I think they can't vote yet, so they have only so many ways that they can make their voices heard. I think we all need to come together because our voice means more when we're together than when we're alone. And if we don't speak up at all, then no one's point of view gets across and then people's rights get trampled on. So I think they're doing a good thing by exercising that. I also don't think that the purpose of this meeting today is to talk about whether the students should or should not have gone out. I think they drive cars. I think they're much more at risk driving a car than crossing the street. So, point being, I think that any one of you, no matter what party you are, I don't know what party any of you are, and I do live in Federal Way, I'm a Federal Way voter, should be able to speak your mind, including Martin Moore. Thank you for your time, and I think to take him out of this role would be against, his political views, and I think that's against the First Amendment. So that's where I stand.
Thanks, Jennifer. Carlicia Bell and then Trinice Rogers.
Hello, I'm Carlicia Bell. I've been a community member in Federal Way since 2012. And I always say, if you want to understand the health of a community, look at the youth. The youth are speaking now, and we seem to be ignoring that. I'm taking a group of young women to the Capitol tomorrow for Girls on the Hill Day. And if they can't have a voice in their own city or encouraged to have a voice in their own city, how are we expecting them to feel empowered to have a voice at a different level? And so I'm in full support of keeping Martin in his position. I feel like mistakes happen. Everyone makes mistakes. But to take him out of this role, I do believe would be an injustice. Thank you for your time.
Trinice Rogers.
Hi, I'm Trinice Rogers. I am a resident. And I just want to publicly say thank you, President Council Moore, for your courage, for your leadership, and for your willingness to lead with love. Thank you. And as we're here listening today, I hope each of you all here can reconsider some things and possibly ask yourself internally as you're sitting and deliberating how you move forward today. Is it possible that you, in fact, call this meeting out of frustration or selfish ambition we need to really think why we're here today, and hopefully you can understand clearly what was said, what was not said, and hopefully you heard the voice of the youth, and it was clear, it's undoubtedly clear that this was a student-led effort. So please do not move forward in ignoring the voice of the youth. This was a student-led effort. And please think about the adverse effects of this meeting tonight as it relates to the youth in our community. Thank you.
Andy Joensen, and then Joe Bartoloma. Joy. Do we have Andy Joensen? Okay. And then we've got Joy Bartoloma, or Bartolini.
Hello, I am Andy Jowenson. I'm a father, an educator who resides and was raised in Federal Way, and I'm speaking in support of retaining Martin Moore as council president. As an educator and citizen, my role is to support my students and protect their rights and education. Our council president knows this, as he is also an educator and citizen. And how many council members, past and present, have platformed and to be elected, quoting and saying that they work in our schools. Upon examination of the council president's post, he said nothing that any teacher or parent who cares for their children would say. Every day I tell my students and my family, be safe, make good choices. President Moore was saying that. If you are going to exercise your right, be safe. That is no more, that's not an overstep, that's not instructing, that is giving support that we all should be called to do for our community. I know that my students will not always make good choices, but I still want them to be safe. But defending their rights is always a good choice. For any members of this council who have responded with posts saying that they have nothing to fear, that students were gravely mistaken in their actions, students are terrified. We have many students in the Federal Way School District that do not come to school anymore out of fear for their lives and their families. They can't apply for college because FAFSA puts them at risk. Their families have been deported, parents have been deported, not because they are criminals who are breaking the law and have done something wrong, but because they are being legally banned from legally renewing their green cards and residency. They are not criminals, they are our community. Thank you.
Joy Bartoloma.
Hi, my name is Joy Bartolome. I was not actually expecting to speak tonight. I submitted my comment online, which is free to see. I just want to say that I'm in full support of keeping Martin Moore. I grew up in Federal Way. I'm an immigrant. I'm also now a citizen. I moved here in 2008. I didn't become a citizen until 2021. That's how long that process takes. Our children understand that. Our students get that. I graduated from this school district, and one of the best parts about going to school here was the diversity, was the inclusion, was never feeling like I was different for bringing rice to school. So thank you, Mr. Moore, for speaking up for our students and encouraging them to protest for their rights, for their friends' rights. I now have the ability to speak up, but in the past, I was scared, and now I don't need to be, but there are still kids out there who are scared, and they shouldn't be. So thank you. And I encourage you to keep Mr. Moore in his position for supporting our students.
All right, thank you. All right, on Zoom, we have Edith Garvey, Antoinette Rusnev, Sarah Lee, Natera Pratt Gutierrez, Josephine Antoinette Saucedo, Ryan Lee, and Ashley Gee. And let's get Edith Garvey on the phone or online. And I do want to acknowledge we've got our state representative, Jamila Taylor, present. Representative? All right.
Mayor, for the record, it looks like we only have Sarah Lee, Natera Pratt Gutierrez, Ashley G., and Ryan Lee on Zoom at this time.
Okay, so let's do Sarah Lee first. Sarah Lee, can you hear me? Miss Lee?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, you've got a minute and 30 seconds.
All right.
I'm Sarah. I'm a resident and homeowner in Federal Way. I want to remind City Council that the Constitution you all swore to uphold when you took your office includes the right to free speech and peaceful assembly for kids as well as adults. As such, I support Councilmember Moore remaining in his position as president and thank him for supporting those rights. Just because ICE is not running roughshod over Federal Way right now doesn't mean it can't ever happen. Dismissing kids' valid concerns, telling them to just comply and it can't happen here is at best ignoring the reality of our incredibly diverse city. Why are one set of voters' concerns supposed to be considered solely partisan, while another set of voters' concerns are all considered essential to running the city and not at all partisan? Just because you don't like what a voter supports doesn't mean our council shouldn't speak to their concerns. I want my city officials firmly grounded in reality, eyes open, and looking out for what matters to the people of Federal Way, not what matters to outside agitators like Libs of TikTok or centering people who are mad they are no longer the majority in this city. Council should remember who all their constituents are when voting tonight and in the future. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Heather, who's next?
Next is Natera Pratt Gutierrez.
Hello, it's actually Netera Pratt Gutierrez. I am a Federal Way resident. I've lived here for 6 years. I'm a homeowner, and I'm an educator for 10 years. My son attends an elementary school here in Federal Way. I'm speaking in support of Moore, which you can see there are more here for keeping him than not. I also would like to remind everyone of the Supreme Court ruling in 1969, known as Tinker versus Des Moines, that says that students do not shed their constitutional rights to freedom of speech or expression at the schoolhouse gates. And this is true for all of their other fundamental rights as well. Please Google this, a lot of you need to. Students have protested against segregation, students have protested in support for students with disabilities, and they all walked out of school. Some people seem to not notice students until they are not where they think they should be. Students are community members. They have a right to speak up. They will inherit what we leave them, and they don't want to be left a dumpster fire. Students literally told you all they invited Moore to speak to them. The students have not wavered in their stance, and there is no such thing as an illegal protest. As Americans, regardless of political affiliation, minus fascism, the students have the right to protest, and if city council members are here to serve us as citizens, then they are meant to protect everyone's rights regardless if they agree with them or not. Children are watching and learning from us, and education is and always will be political, and if you don't think that, please research. Thank you.
And who's next?
Next is Ashley G.
Can you hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Okay, all right. Hi. So my name is Ashley G, and I live and own property here in Federal Way. Since you can't see me, I am a white woman, almost 40 years of age, and I am beaming. I just want to say I'm so proud of these kids that showed up tonight to advocate for their peers, for their community. It's really an amazing and encouraging thing to see here. So I just want to say to the 15 folks who are my neighbors, who are in disagreement with what I've come to say tonight, that you don't have to like it. You really don't. But students do have a constitutional right to protest. Your decision on what you want your kids to do is just that. Your decision on what you want your kids to do. They have a right to be there, and that is an important thing to protect. I do just want to have a quote here really quick. Martin listens, shows up, and works hard to represent everyone. Democrats, Republicans, independents alike. His goal is simple, to serve and help you navigate City Hall. Please join me in voting to return Martin Moore back to City Hall. That's from Mayor Jim Farrell. So I just want to say, he does have a record of standing up for folks across the political spectrum, which is known by the overwhelming support that he received when he was initially voted into the role. So if you haven't, I invite you to read what Moore actually posted, not what someone told you that he posted. What he actually said was our young people are feeling fear and uncertainty. It breaks his heart, and that he's proud of them for exercising their First Amendment freedoms. So I am really grateful for Moore's leadership, his actions here, and thank you for this opportunity.
Next is Ryan Lee.
All right, Ryan?
Hello, can you hear me?
We can, yes.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Ryan, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Great, thank you. My name is Ryan Lee, and I am a resident and homeowner in Federal Way. I also support Martin Moore for staying in his role as City Council President. Our students can see that something is clearly wrong, and they are letting us know in every way they can, and we should all listen. Mayor Farrell and council members, stop pretending you can cuddle up under the cover of council procedures to hide away from our troubled and troubling times. Instead, please try to meet this moment. It calls for courage, not evasion and instruction. So I'm asking you to be courageous and to be brave. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Ryan. Anybody else online?
Next is Antoinette Rusnov.
Okay. Antoinette?
Yes.
Okay,
Can
the
you hear
floor.
me?
We can. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Tony Resnov, Antoinette formally. I have been a resident of Federal Way for 33 years, and I rise to stand to support President Moore. The statements and actions taken by Martin Moore are completely appropriate and do not disqualify him from leading the council. Recusals from voting on issues that affect the agencies he serves on do not impact his ability to lead the council. And our city leaders must stand up to speak up as for our community members. I call on all of you in the council to do the same. There is much work to be done, and you can all lend a hand to ensure our community is safe from the abuses of ICE. Please vote to retain Martin Moore as president of this council. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
And last is Dr. Janice Clark on Zoom.
And that's it online? Okay. Dr. Clark?
I've been here a time.
Okay, thanks, Janice. Go ahead.
To usnews.com. The school climate at Federal Way School District, 79% of the students like their school. 72% feel safe. Support systems and environment, 55% proficiency rate in reading and 14% in math. 35% of the elementary school students tested proficiency in reading, 29% tested at the above math rate. Middle school, 39% students in reading proficiency, 25% in math proficiency. High school, 52% tested for reading and 20% tested for math level. It has been stated that there are conflicts of interest with respect to President Moore as a board member of a multi-service center when funding was being issued out regarding the money that came from King County. He listened to the whole thing and then recused himself. There's major conflicts of interest, and I just rise to support. We need another vote. Thank you.
Okay. That concludes the online, and I've got, we just had the last pink sheet. Derek Harris. Derek, come on forward, or Mr. Harris.
Good evening. I'm Derek Harris, Executive Director of Black Education Strategy Roundtable. I'm also the Associate Pastor at New Beginnings Christian Fellowship. I'm also a Princeton graduate, and I'm also pursuing my PhD in education. But more than all of those, I am a father. I'm a father that recognizes what it means to be human, what it means to be a two-legged, featherless, linguistically conscious being, born between urine and feces that will soon become the culinary delight of terrestrial worms. I am a parent that recognizes at the center of all of who we are sparks of the divine. I am someone that understands clearly, crystal clearly, that humanity deserves and demands that we respond to the wounds, to the woes, and to the injuries of this wounded world. And it is our responsibility to assign and align with the youth that understand this very crucial and real nature of what it means to be human. And so my ask is that you would support our president, Martin Moore. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your comments. Thank you very much. All right, we're now at the item 4 portion of the meeting, the council business. Item A. Alex, you're out of order. Alex, I do not want to have to remove you. Alex, I will have you removed. Officers, we are going to conduct business, and anybody who interferes with that business will be removed. I'll give you one more warning. Please. Okay? But I don't want to do that, you guys. Come on. I've known Alex since he was a high school, since Alex was a high school person. Very passionate. The other individual I don't know real well, but let's come on. We've got some business to do. This was noted by an email pursuant to RCW that I read previously. Councilmember Kochmar, do you have a motion?
Well, I'll make the motion and then I'll speak to it if you want, Mr. Mayor.
Following a second.
I move to rescind the vote naming Martin Moore as council president.
I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. Councilmember Kochmar?
I want to thank all of you for being here this evening. I want to thank all of you who have never been here. I want to thank all of you who have been here regularly. I want to thank you for being concerned enough to get involved. I want to tell you I'm not 37. I've been around quite a while. I've been involved in this city almost 30 years. I've lived here since 1972. I've raised 6 children here. I was widowed. My twin brother was in Vietnam, died of his injuries. My husband was a pilot in Vietnam. That's why I'm here, halfway between SeaTac and McChord Air Force Base, now Fort Lewis. So what I want to say to all of you is that I do have a lot of experience, and I've seen a lot of things happening and changing in our city. And I want to thank you for making me aware that we need, and I've talked to the mayor already about having a town hall, because so many of you are very, very worried and concerned about what's going on in our community, and I don't blame you one bit. And I'm putting myself in your position as much as I can. It's a difficult thing. I've lost 2 children. It's a difficult thing to be afraid and alone and worried. It's a difficult thing when we are a city and we have lots of issues. We are a nonpartisan council. We come from different backgrounds and different parts of life. We are not here because of Martin's stance on, on the walkout. That's not what we're here for. The council president position is as an administrator. It is not to take political stances. It is not to use, it is not, we appoint this person as our, he's our president on our council as our administrator. And if we need to put what the duty should be in writing, maybe we need to do that and have a review of councils and procedures. We've had deputy mayors and we've had council presidents. And I've been here for many of them. I've also been in the State House of Representatives for 4 years. I'm not being inconsiderate. All of you are here under a false pretense. We're not here. You are not here because of what's happened with a walkout. That's not what we're doing this evening. We're talking about administration of this council and who is to represent this nonpartisan council to do the work for you. Martin is a good person. I've known Martin since I was in the State House of Representatives with Roger Freeman. Roger Freeman's daughter was here to speak this evening. Roger and I got along extremely well. Martin has been on the council before some of us thought that he would be able to handle this job. Maybe he needs to step back a little bit. I'm sorry, but you get to hear my opinion, right? Okay? You're hearing my opinion. And so, thank you very much. And so maybe we need to talk about what that position is for this city and for this council. And that's really why we're here this evening. And thank you very much for, I get to.
You're out of order.
You're
out of order.
Thank you very
do it
much.
again, or you'll be asked to leave.
I have talked to you. I am talking to you from my heart. I am here to represent you, and I have done that for many, many, many years. And I would respect you and hope that you would respect my opinion as well.
Give us something 1%.
And
Officers, remove him. Go.
I believe that we are all here.
Disgusting! Shame!
We are all here for the same purpose, and that is to make our community a place that we're proud to live in and proud to call our home. And this is precisely the problem we've got at the moment, the divisiveness, and we need to talk about that. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, Councilmember Hamilton.
Thank you, Mayor. We've been here for 2.5 hours. I have respectfully, quietly listened to you.
Okay, can you hold on? Okay, could you start over again, please?
Yes, Mayor. I have respectfully listened to you. We've all listened to each other for the last 2.5 hours. The question was asked, what brought us here? And I would like to explain to you what brought us here, and I would ask for respect, the same respect that I have given. This was about leadership, ethics, and the appropriate use of public office. I respect and support First Amendment rights for all residents, including our students, our brave students who are here today speaking to us. And I am proud of the fact that Federal Way has a very strong tradition of peaceful protest. I see protesters every Sunday from noon to 1, and it is always peaceful. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud of our community in that. And I do support students protesting. I may be a little different than what you would think, but I do support students protesting because that is their First Amendment right. What brought us to this moment and why we are here is because our council president has repeatedly used the council president platform rather than his personal or campaign channels to advance personal and political causes without council authorization, despite being asked to stop. He has also struggled to separate his outside political and board membership roles from his responsibilities to the city. Multiple conflicts of interest exist, and the line between those roles has become very blurred. That's the reason why we are here. And to be completely honest, and what I want our community to know, is that the concerns began before the Facebook post that we are all here talking about. That's when the concerns began, prior to that Facebook post. Most recently, though, there was that post. And using an official council president social media page to encourage minor school students, at least it appeared that way, to privately message him crossed a very serious boundary. Regardless of intent, that is not appropriate conduct for a council president. And our council rules set strict expectations about how council members use social media in their official capacity. So that is the entirety of why we are here today. Thank you. Thank you for being respectful.
Okay. We've got Councilmember Sessoms and then Councilmember Walsh.
Let the people speak. Students across our community are engaging in collective action because they are witnessing what they perceive as overzealous and heavy-handed federal enforcement, most painfully illustrated by ICE raids that have taken away beloved family members, including grandparents. These concerns are not abstract. Data show that only 14% of ICE arrests involve individuals with violent criminal history. Council President Moore did not incite disruption or act recklessly. He did what leaders are expected to do. He amplified the voices of constituents who are expressing fear, frustration, and a call for humanity. That's not misconduct. That is representation. That's what he is here for. And guess what? Context matters. Tomorrow, I guarantee you, far greater numbers of students will miss school to attend the Super Bowl victory parade. And many so-called responsible adults will miss work for the very same reason. Selectively condemning civic engagement when it is politically inconvenient forces us to ask an uncomfortable but necessary question. Are we acting out of principle or out of politics? Most importantly, we must ask whether Council President Moore's actions rise to the level of removal from council leadership. The answer is flat out no. He continues to demonstrate sound judgment, leadership ability, and moral character. Disagreement with his stance is not grounds for punishment. So we should pause and reflect. What are we really doing here at 9:25 p.m.? Undermining a capable leader for amplifying community concerns sets a dangerous precedent, and it does not serve the public interest. Martin Moore, Council President Martin Moore, should be retained as Council President. Thank you.
Councilmember Walsh.
It's been an interesting evening. I was out of the country last week, and I came back, and all sorts of excitement happened. So my concern with the council president is about leadership, lack of judgment, and injecting party politics in his personal political agenda in a nonpartisan council. I'm disappointed that some of you have chosen to frame the concern that myself and some other council members have as an attack on the First Amendment rights of young people. That is not the case. I definitely support the First Amendment rights of young people, whether it's of speech or to assemble. They have concerns, and I support their right to voice those concerns. However, a person in a responsible position of leadership should not be encouraging minors to violate state law by being truant from school. And a person in such a position should certainly not be requesting that minors privately message him. The council president should be seeking to unite the council in addressing the needs of the city, not inflaming partisanship by using official council president social media to advance his personal agenda and political causes. One example of the poor judgment. Martin was one of the leaders of the effort to pass the school levy. I shared with him that I personally support the levy. Without my permission, he created a social media post giving the impression that I was using my position as a city council member to officially endorse the levy. It is not his place to do so. In the last 4 years that I've been on the council, we've faced many serious issues. Some we've agreed on, and some we've had serious disagreements, but we have always shown mutual respect for one another until the last 5 weeks, and things have deteriorated greatly. I hope that with the change in leadership, that we can begin to rebuild and establish respect for one another. I like Martin. I've considered him a friend, but I don't think that now's the time for him to be council president, and we need to make a change. Thank you.
Are there any other comments from the council members? There's been a motion and a second.
Mayor.
A discussion. Councilmember Honda?
Thank you. I would just simply like to say thank you for your emails, and thank you for your phone calls, and thank you for stopping me in the grocery store and talking to me. I'd also like to thank those who are watching this from home, because I know that there are people watching this from home. This has been a long evening, and I'm not going to say much more at this point, but this council will come together and we will work together. We have a lot of work to accomplish this year. This is a big year for the city of Federal Way. It's a budget year, and if you've ever watched the council during a budget year, you know that it requires a lot of work and a lot of extra meetings and a lot of extra time. And this council needs to get busy and get going on the things that we were elected to do. So thank you for being here, and I appreciate you taking your time and sharing your thoughts with us.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, I've raised my hand.
Okay.
Please.
Councilmember Seffa Dawson.
Thank you. Give me 1 second. Okay. Oops. Yeah, thank you so much. And I did write what I was going to say, and so I'll speak fast. Thank you for the public comments and for what has been said on the dais so far. I also want to thank those individuals who took the time to send us emails that have flooded our inboxes in opposition as well as in support to Council President Moore's perceived involvement in students' peaceful march that took place last week. The emails accusing Council President Martin Moore of ushering the children and pushing an anti-law enforcement agenda was unfounded, while the statement I read from Martin was supporting students' right to peaceful protest and their First Amendment freedoms. Encouraging young people to stand up for what they believe in is not incitement, it is support. Our students are capable of critical thinking, so let's not undermine their intelligence. And this moment affects not only immigrant students, but also their friends, classmates, teammates, and school staff, and the school district across our community. And I appreciate that the student-student solidarity by recognizing that it's not only an issue of the immigrant students and families, but that it is our issue and student solidarity. They understood the assignment. As I have stated before numerous times, I'm a naturalized citizen deeply involved in our immigrant community. I can attest that fear many families feel is real, especially for Black and brown families and those of us who speak with accents. People remind each other to keep documents handy because experience elsewhere show how quickly things can escalate. Our students chose to stand in solidarity with peers who feel targeted. Their actions were peaceful, principled, and deeply American. Students' voices matter. They can move mountains and shift the tide. I have seen and experienced that as a student in high school, and I know what difference that makes, their involvement makes. We also have recent examples of community responses. In Auburn, when hundreds of students walked out to protest immigration enforcement, what did Mayor Backus do? She publicly praised their peaceful civic engagement, and city staff engaged students in discussions about local government. Not only Auburn School District, but then there were other students in the area, like Seattle, Highline, and other school districts that also participate in peaceful march. Here in Federal Way, coverage in the Federal Way Mirror documented peaceful student-initiated. I just want to highlight that student-initiated and student-led demonstrations with police ensured safety and no significant incidents reported. And to that, I want to thank our police officers. Federal Way School District stated that peaceful student expression is protected by law, which limits the ability of the district to prohibit it. Students even came before this council last week and asked what we would do to protect their families. Whether or not each fear and concern has been realized, the fear itself is real. Our response should be empathy and civics, not censorship. So, which brings me to a matter before us. Why did we call a special meeting to question and remove a sitting council president for expressing support for students' lawful, peaceful civic engagement, when a conversation, fact-finding, or simple reminder of council process could have sufficed? What is the urgency? As a fellow council member, I find it deeply concerning that we escalated to this level without first engaging in direct dialogue. What required this elevated response rather than a discussion? And for the record, I was not approached or included in this conversation, and I was totally surprised and caught off guard when I received the email invitation to this meeting. I don't know who else was blindsided as I was, and so what an exclusive process this was. Or, yeah, was it? If we remove a council president for supporting peaceful civic engagement, we risk speech, chilling speech instead of modeling civic discourse. What is the charge? What is our rules? Do we surrender the right to speak about what we believe? We routinely hear public comments we disagree with, and we do so respectfully. Let's extend that same respect to each other. In closing, I urge my colleagues to reject removal, to choose conversation over condemnation, and to meet our students' courage with our own. The courage to listen, learn, and lead by example. If we're concerned about process, let's fix the process. If we're concerned about clarity, let's add disclaimers. But let's never punish peaceful civic engagement, least of all from the young people who will inherit our decision and learn from us. That we don't care to listen to their voices, that we don't care, and let's remember they are our future. So as a fellow council member, I stand firmly for respectful dialogue. And I also want to add that I do not support removing Council President Moore from his position. And just also for the record, the email that we received did say for us to rescind the Council President from his position. So just wanted to also highlight that. But I believe in our young students. I'm proud of them. My kids went to Federal Way High School, and if they were here now in this day, they would have been part of this march, and I would have been so proud of them. They continue to be leaders and do what these students did post high school. And guess what? I'm still proud of them. And yeah, it could be unsafe, but that's the risk you take for justice and also for freedom of speech, and that's why we have it, I think. And my concern with our council is, first we talked about the flags and we decided to remove flags. And now we're doing this. So let's pay attention to what we're doing, because I feel like we're going in a direction that is very scary to me, and I'm very uncomfortable with how we're moving forward. So thank you for listening to me, and yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Council President Moore.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor, and to my colleagues, thank you for the honest conversation. I know that it's not easy to speak out when you want to, and so even though you may not believe me, I do want to say thank you. So I appreciate the honest perspectives that are being put on this table. First of all, do we have students in the audience still? Where are they? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for still being here, and it's 9:37, so it's almost past your bedtime. But I just want to say thank you for being here to our students. Thank you for being vulnerable. Thank you for being, thank you for speaking out. Thank you for using your voice. It's greatly appreciated. And to the rest of you guys. Oh, and before I go any further, go Seahawks. Talk about the Super Bowl. It's amazing. Just had to mention that. I do want to move on by saying I want to begin by thanking everyone who took the time to attend tonight's unplanned special meeting. Your time matters, and I do not take your presence here lightly. I am sorry that you had to spend your evening here instead of with your families. I am sorry that staff time and public resources were used for a meeting that did not need to be called in this way. And I am sorry that instead of focusing on the real and urgent issues facing our community like homelessness, affordable housing, infrastructures, and serious budget challenges, we are here tonight because some of my colleagues chose to politicize a decision I made simply because I lead differently than them. Frankly, at the end of the day, I just cannot help. I just cannot help but to wonder that this is just simply retaliatory and bitter towards me, or else this would have been handled a lot differently. You should know that I am just now, today, in this meeting, learning about some of their reasonings at the same time you are. Prior to tonight, I was not told directly what was going on, which highlights the motivation from my fellow council members to cause chaos instead of trying to find resolution. So let me address the facts directly, because there has been a significant amount of misinformation circulating, and misinformation that has been amplified and frankly weaponized. First, I was asked by the Federal Way High School Black Student Union and Latinx Club advisor to attend an after-school club meeting in my capacity as a council member. I agreed. I attended, listened, and heard students share their concerns, fears, and questions. What they shared was powerful and important, and I appreciated the opportunity to listen. After the meeting concluded, a student briefly pulled me to the side and mentioned that a walkout was being planned. The student asked whether I would be willing to share their flyer on the social media, and I agreed. That same student asked if I could help connect them to the local newspaper, which I did. Any communication I had, and I want to be ultra clear on this, any communication I had with students was transparent and known to the club advisor. I never offered support beyond sharing this post and never offered any personal information to any students during that process. When I shared the post, I stated that I was proud of the students. I meant it then, and I mean it today, right now. Shortly after the post went live, comments began appearing, comments that represented all sides of the issues. I made the decision to hide the post on my Facebook and later notified the city attorney. It was not deleted, it remains accessible and retrievable. I hid it because the commentary was not reflective of the position of the city council as a whole. And I realized that and corrected that decision. Leadership is about accountability. Leadership is accountable even and most importantly in their mistakes. I played no role in the planning, coordination, or organization of this protest. The students planned it themselves. I acknowledged their courage and their right to use their voice. That was it. Students have a constitutional right to exercise their freedom of speech, whether or not we personally agree with them. At a time when it is easy to disengage, to retreat into screens and silence, I am proud that these students chose to participate in civic action knowing they might face criticism. They should be celebrated for this, not condemned. They are our next generation of elected officials and leaders. Choosing to use their voices brings me hope. Are there lessons to be learned? Of course. But that's not why we're here. We are here because one council person took it upon herself to drive this effort without any communication with me because she does not agree with how I serve the people of Federal Way. But to weaponize this moment, to use it for political retaliation because a colleague disagrees with you is just wrong. And we should ask ourselves, what message does that send to our youth and to the public? It is exactly the kind of conduct that discourages civic participation and erodes trust in government. Let's also be clear. This meeting and the motivation behind calling it are deeply divisive. If that stated goal is unity or moving forward, this action does the opposite. Whatever the outcome tonight, I will commit to continuing to lead the families and elders in this community, but also the next generation. I will continue to learn from my choices and be accountable to both my fellow council members and my community. I love Federal Way, and I will continue to lead without fear, because I know that the residents of this city want to work together and move forward, not play old school partisan games that drag all of us back. Thank you, Mayor.
All right, thank you. All right. Okay, there's been a motion, a second, and now discussion. Pursuant to the motion for potential action to rescind the vote naming the city council president. All those in favor of the motion state aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
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 Heather?
Councilmember Asafa Dawson,
Nay.
Councilmember Honda,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamilton,
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh,
Aye.
Councilmember Sessoms,
Nay.
Councilmember Kochmar,
Aye.
and Council President Moore.
Nay.
Mayor, the motion passes 4-3.
All right. Okay, our Martin has been, Councilmember Moore has been removed from his position as council president. We will now move we're going to conduct business. So there, item B on the agenda is the potential action to elect a city council president. Are there any? Please do not interrupt. Please do not. Please do not interrupt. Please do not interrupt. This is a business meeting. Is there, I'll open up the field now for nominees. Councilmember Kochmar?
Mayor, I'd like to nominate. You know, there's one thing we need in this city, and it is civil respect
Call
for
to vote,
each
Mayor.
other. I move
Mayor, call the vote.
I move to nominate Susan Honda
All right.
as council president. I believe and I'll speak to that, sir.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? We don't need any seconds, is that correct? Councilmember Honda has been nominated. Councilmember Walsh, did you? No. Okay. Councilmember Moore?
Yes, I nominate Lydia Safa Dawson. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any other nominations? Councilmember Honda has been nominated, and Councilmember Asafa Dawson has been nominated. Are there any other nominations?
Mayor?
Yes, Councilmember Asafa Dawson.
Sorry, thank you so much, Martin. Thanks for believing in me, but this is not the time for me to accept this nomination. Thank you.
Is it, can she withdraw her name? All right. I just want to, okay. So are there any other nominations? I'll ask one more time. Are there any other nominations? Okay. Hearing none, nominations are closed. All those in favor of Councilmember Honda as the council president, say aye.
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 Opposed?
Nay.
Nay,
All right. Heather?
but
I'm sorry. Actually, hold on for a second. Councilmember Asafa Dawson, do you have a question?
yeah, I want to make a comment. It's not, honesty is not about Susan. It's just that I disagree with what just took place, so.
Okay.
Knowing, yeah, so that's what I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Heather?
Councilmember Asafa Dawson,
Nay.
Councilmember Moore,
Nay.
Councilmember Honda,
Aye.
Councilmember Hamilton,
Aye.
Councilmember Walsh,
Aye.
Councilmember Sessoms,
Nay.
Councilmember Kochmar.
Aye.
Mayor, the motion passes 4-3.
All right. We have a new council president. Councilmember Honda, if you can come down to the podium, I will swear you in.
And Mayor, may I just say that we've worked well as a council for many years.
I would
and
like to
hope
correct that. That is absolutely false. That is absolutely false, Councilmember Kochmar.
Please.
Someone's seat on the council is not respectful.
All right. Councilmember Hunt. Sir, control yourself.
None of these youth will be talked to. You are not in position to talk to any of these youth.
Ma'am, control yourself. Control yourself or leave.
Without parental consent, you cannot talk to these youth.
Let me get out of your way. Council President Honda, would you please raise your right hand and repeat after me? I, please state your name. Having been appointed to the position of City of Federal Way Council President, do solemnly swear or affirm that you are a citizen of the United States and of the state of Washington, and that you will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
And I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington,
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Washington
and the laws and ordinances,
and the laws and ordinances of the city of Federal Way.
and you will faithfully and impartially
I will faithfully and impartially
perform and discharge
perform and discharge
the duties of this office
the duties of this office
in and for the city of Federal Way,
in and for the city of Federal Way,
Washington,
Washington,
according to the law
according to the law
and the best of your ability.
and the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. The purpose for which this meeting was called has been accomplished, and the matters are concluded. We are hereby adjourned.